Namaste. Welcome, viewers, uh, to another episode of NRI-Voice, and I'm your host, Shweta Shankar. I hope you're all safe and sound at home with your loved ones in these testing times of COVID 19. Let's all lighten up a little bit and distract our minds with something beautiful. And what better way to do that than meeting a beautiful young girl? Let's take a sneak peek into her journey. I present to you Yasashwini Iyer. She's an aspiring Bharatanatyam dancer and a pre-med student as well. Yasaswini, welcome to PILUPU TV.
Namaste, hello, swagatam. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and thank you so much for that beautiful and wonderful introduction.
How are you today? And how are you coping with the current situation?
I'm good. I'm home from college, so it's nice to be back home eating my mom's food. And it's nice to take that time away, be at home, spending time with family. That's all. It's all nice, but I hope this wave of COVID-19 ends soon.
I understand. We're all hoping and praying for this very same thing. So let's go into your childhood. Where were you born? What are your parents? We'd like to know something about uh, your childhood.
Yes, so I was actually born in Boston, and I moved to Chicago when I was like 6 years old. And then I moved to Northern Virginia after eighth grade. And I, I was born in the States, but my parents are from India. My dad was born in Chennai, and my mom was born in Delhi. So I know both Hindi and Tamil, and so yeah, that's kind of where it all began.
That's beautiful. So what are you studying now? Are you working? What are you doing right now?
So right now, I'm a student at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. It's my second year. I'm majoring in chemical biology. I'm trying to decide between minors, but for right now, I think it's going to be nutrition. And so yeah, I'm right now a student of many things, a student of school, dance, life, everything, I guess.
Well, that's very good to know. So tell me, how did Bharatanatyam come into your life?
Yes, so this is a very interesting story because I actually learned dance for a year when I was in Boston from Srimati Jyoti Raghavan. And then when I moved to Chicago, I started learning from Srimati Hema Rajagopalan and Srimati Kritika Rajagopalan from Natya Dance Theater from Jyoti Auntie's recommendation. And ever since then, my life just hasn't been the same. I've learned Bharatanatyam now for 14 years. But I think what brings me specifically to Bharatanatyam is actually my dad's interest for the Indian arts. He grew up with this passion for Carnatic music, and his family was never had the money to send him to classes, but he's told me stories of him just hanging out outside the Mridangam teacher's house, just listening and understanding the music. And honestly, I'm so fortunate for my dad to give us this opportunity, my brother and I, to learn the Indian arts. And even my mother, she actually learned Kathak for around 10 years back in Delhi. And so I guess her love for dance carried on to me too. Um, so yeah.
I can totally relate to that because, when growing up in my generation, of course, you're much younger than me. Our parents were, although they did have an inclination towards the arts, the ways and means to learning something like that was very, very difficult. and it was quite a struggle managing your academics with an extracurricular activity. And I can totally understand. And since he has moved away from India, and him being an NRI and having kids here in the United States, we as parents always want our kids to grow up with our Indian culture. And I totally get it that he wanted his children, you and your brother, to grow up with our roots back in India. So you have a younger brother, is that correct?
Right. I have a younger brother. He's 4 years younger. He learns tabla actually from Samir Chatterjee in New York. He runs the Chandayan Foundation. So yeah, and even my brother, he goes to New York twice a month for classes. He drives to and from. We're from Northern Virginia now, but they literally drive like 10 hours a day for classes, which is pretty incredible. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of commitment, I should say. You as a med student as well, I mean, you should be in, like, so much of academic stress. There'll be assignments to submit, exams, so many things going around. What keeps you motivated to continue to learn dancing?
So I think with dance um, and my passion for health, I think pre-med and the science and the med classes and everything associated with being a pre-med student feeds my heart and my mind, and it drives my body, and um, it's what I love. But I think Bharatanatyam feeds my soul. And I think it sounds really cliche when I say it out loud like that, but even on your toughest days when you don't want to practice, if you just go down to the studio, just play your Varnam and just, listen to the music, do it to the best of the abilities as you can, it really just like, it feeds just this inner happiness that nothing else in life can provide. And I think, and I'm still very, I mean, I've only seen 20 years of life, but there have been very many ups and downs. I mean, from moving to close family members going through health issues, through families and friends going through life. And as a person, as a human being, I think it's important to have a certain outlet for you to relieve your stress, for you to learn more about yourself, for you to create, be curious about the world. And for me, Bharatanatyam is that outlet, because even when you're stressed, Bharatanatyam is never going to leave you. Even when your family and your friends around you or the environment around you might leave you, Bharatanatyam will stay. The art that you've cultivated throughout your life will always be within you. And I think that's what motivates me to keep going, because even though, I mean, I might, even in college, like my first year in college, I didn't dance every day like I used to. But when I would come home from college for like fall break or winter break, I'd come back to it, and the same adavas would feel different, um, but but still the same. So I think that growth and that process of um, internally having that relationship with Bharatanatyam is what keeps me motivated to continue.
Well, that's very well said. I totally get it. As a dancer, once a dancer, you're always a dancer, right? Um, well, are your teachers are also in the United States? Or is she from India, and do you have Skype classes? How does that work?
Yes. So I think this question about my gurus might be my favorite question, because I think they're also what keeps me dancing. If I did not have the such amazing gurus that I have today, I think I would have dropped Bharatanatyam in middle school or even elementary school. So my first guru is Srimati Hema Rajagopalan, and Hema Aunty is the founder and artistic director of Natya Dance Theater in Chicago, like I'd mentioned before.
Mhm.
And she is the most inspirational, motivational supportive and encouraging person I've ever met. I mean, when I moved from Chicago to Virginia, I was wondering, like, how will I be able to continue dance? But she was like, this is not even a problem. There's Skype. We can Skype. That's not an issue at all. And so I had actually done Skype lessons to do my Arangetram, which I did after 10th grade. And my training was all through Skype. And of course, I had gone during summer breaks and winter breaks to my guru's houses. But the majority of the training was Skype. And I think one particular aspect of Heymanti that I really admire is her dedication to everything that she does, to her students, to the school. For example, when I would perform in India, the orchestra rehearsals would be at like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., somewhere around then, because that was when the orchestra was available. And Heymanti would literally wake up at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. To watch my performances. And that kind of dedication I've never seen in my whole life. And so I'm very, very thankful for that. And even her husband, Rajagopalan uncle, he's so kind. I've stayed at their house for many weeks during summer camps and workshops and things like that. And they just have such a warm heart for the Natya family, for their students and everyone. And my second guru is Srimati Kritika Rajagopalan, who is Hemanti's daughter. And honestly, she's a friend, a mentor. I go to her for everything from like school stress to what to eat, how to stretch, um, how to create a timeline, set goals. And she's she's literally one of my best friends, I would say, because she cares about you. So I mean, I call her for maybe like one question, and she'll literally be on the phone call for hours and hours, really getting to the root of the problem. And that's something that I admire from her, is like, normal teachers, they'd be like, okay, if your hands aren't straight, make it tight. But she'll say, look at your core. And if your posture is not right, she'll be like, your pinky toe might be off. So she really looks at the problem from the root. And this collaboration of both Hemanti and Kritikaka is what keeps me dancing, keeps me motivated, keeps me inspired, and makes me who I am today. I think even you can probably advocate for this. Learning dance affects the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you think, even your beliefs philosophically. I think so. I think in this way, the gurus, the art, impact the person as a whole. So yeah.
That is so wonderful. Yes, I do agree when you said, both Hema Auntie and Kritika Akka are, pretty much your family. I remember me as a child, my gurus, my dance Natyacharyas used to call me their kids, right? For any dance teacher, all their students become their kids. They are literally our godparents, so to speak. And you did mention about your Arangetram. When and where was it, and how did that go?
Yes. So my Arangetram would be one of my favorite dance memories. It was in Virginia, 2 years after I had moved. And we were in this battle for if we wanted to be in Chicago or Virginia. But I think after 2 years, Virginia was my home. So we wanted to do the Arangetram here. And in terms of the dance teaching, all the teaching was done over Skype. But then over winter break, I went to Kritika Aka's house in California, and then over the summer break, I stayed in Chicago. Our family friends from Chicago, they were a huge help throughout this Arangetram process, and so we'd stay at their house, and then I would have classes with Hemanti, and then we had all the orchestra and Hemanti, Kritikaka, Shantaka, who was also a part of Natya Dance Theater, come over to Virginia, and it was a very, very, very well received performance. I think nearly 400, 500 people in the audience were there, all the family from India. You know how it is. The Arangetram is like a marriage to dance almost. But I think this, I mean, for a lot of people, Arangetram is like the end, right? So before they go to college, they'll have the Arangetram and then maybe not be able to continue. But for me, I took this opportunity to continue dance. I mean, after my Arangetram, I told Hemanti, I was like, the kind of like high or adrenaline I felt on stage, I want to do another Arangetram. I want to do this again. And so that's the kind of motivation that helped me, you know, continue dancing and continue dancing till this day was my Arangetram.
I'm so very glad that you are saying that you want to do another Arangetram. Many people today, they think the Arangetram is the end of the dancing learning period. In fact, it's just the very first milestone to your entire Bharatanatyam dance career. Did you major in Bharatanatyam? Did you do any particular courses? Have you done workshops? Apart from the traditional Gurukula Vasa training, how else have you learned?
Yeah. So in college, I did take one class on dance, but it was on modern dance, and it was very beautiful. It brought in a new perspective, but I wanted to adventure into something new, which is why I'm right now nutrition. So but in addition to dance, I've also trained in Carnatic music for 10 years from Srimati Margathamani and then Srimati Vasanthi Iyer, who are also a wonderful impact to my life. And I think that also helps with understanding the nuances and the musicality that is involved with Bharatanatyam. I think like when you're on the stage, the way that the music influences you, it helps me bring my flavor to the performance. I think that's a huge part of what influences me as a dancer is the music, and I think my Carnatic training kind of helped me lead the path to that. And then Hemanti also, she conducts workshops every single summer for 2 weeks, and she'll bring in experts in various different types of Indian styles of art. So I've been trained in yoga techniques from Miss Diana Oles, and then Kalari, which is like an Indian martial arts from Revanta Sarabhai. So there's just like a bunch of different aspects to Indian art that has really helped me as a Bharatanatyam dancer to grow, and um, it was just like a beautiful growing experience, really, I think.
That is so wonderful. What is dance without music, right? And it's just perfect that you also inculcated the singing aspect of it. Little birdie told me that you also play the violin. Is that true?
Yes, I did. I did, but I did in like middle school for 3-4 years. But I couldn't do everything. So I did violin for 3-4 years. It was the Western style, but I dropped that, and then I continued with music for a little more. But then when I moved to Virginia, I just continued straight just with dance.
That's perfect. I mean, you have to pick and choose what you want, and if dance is your flair, that's what you should continue to do. It is in itself such a wonderful mind, body, and soul connection that you have. That's awesome. We did speak about your Arangetram. Would you like to talk anything about any other recent performances that you've had in India here?
Yes.
Tell us more about it.
Yes. So I think a lot of times for me as a dancer, what motivates me to practice and set a goal is a performance coming up. So if there is like a nearby temple performance, I'll email them and ask if there's space for an extra body, and they're very accommodating. Shiva Vishnu Temple, Espat Temple, I perform there a lot of times. And then in addition to that, my Chennai performances have been an enormous impact to my life. So I've gone for 3 years now. So the first year was in 2016. I did my Arangetram, and then right after that, I went to India in that 2016 year, and then I went again in 2017, and then I took a gap my first year in college, and then I went again this past December, and I've performed in Bharat Kalachar, Rasika Ranjini Sabha, Narada Gana Sabha through Karthik Fine Arts, and I think one of my favorite milestones with this performance is, coming back to the same sabhas, increasing the value of the slots that I get. I mean, I've seen throughout the 3 years. The first year I started off with a 3 p.m. slots, but then this past season I had a slot after the very famed and talented Sri Abhishek Raghuram, right after him at 7:30 p.m. at Bharat Kalachar. And it's truly an honor and privilege to be able to go to Chennai in the season. I think like many times, if you love like hip hop and R&B music, you should go to Coachella. So in the same way, like if you are an Indian artist, if you are specifically trained in Carnatic or South Indian arts, even North Indian arts, Chennai is the place to be. All the sabha hopping from all the way from, I mean, I've talked to many Rasikas there who literally leave at 4 a.m. and then get home at 10 p.m. every day during the festival. And not only is performing an incredible opportunity, I mean, I'm sure you can also agree with this, that after each performance, you become a better dancer. You learn something new about yourself. And through this journey, you see your full capacity expanding after each performance. But even beyond dancing on your own, I think it's very important to continue being inspired. Like growing up, I had family friends who learned Bharatanatyam, and I was like, I want to be like Ramyaka, who can do Natadava. Or I want to do like, I want to be like all these other akkas who are doing their Arangetram and look so cool on stage. So I think it's important to continue that enthusiasm for the arts. And still, at the age of 20, I'm like a child in a candy store when I go and watch these eminent artists perform in India. And actually, my own guru, Hemanti, was at Music Academy on a panel. And it was just so amazing to listen from all these experienced dancers on their thoughts from everything from the importance of manodharmam to dhwani to musicality in Bharatanatyam, and you really understand the nuances. Like it's not all about sitting in Aramandi and perfecting your Natyaramam position. There's so much more than that in the way you express and the way you dance. So it's just an amazing learning opportunity. Plus you get to eat masala dosa and filter coffee, which is always.
Tell me about it. I was there this last Margari during the season, and apart from, of course, witnessing a lot of wonderful performances, and I was part of the Natyakala conference this year as well. The sabhas and the canteens for the sabhas and the wonderful knickknacks, and the filter coffee was the best part. I can totally agree with it. I understand you are doing your nutrition as a major. So how are you a foodie, and what advice or how you've changed your food habits to match with your dancing abilities?
Yeah, so I'm actually a nutrition minor and a chem bio major, but I think my education in the science has definitely made me understand the science behind the dance. And I think one of my passions as I grow up would be to delve deeper into the correlation between health, art, and healing. Because I've seen that in my own life. Whenever I deal with a problem, I just, go to the dance studio, um, dance it out, and then the answer will slowly come to you. Time will tell. And I think even you see it with clubs in school. I mean, there's one called Art Forward, which is a beautiful club that's at Case Western, and you basically do art with juvenile delinquents. And it's just a fun way to pass time. Coloring, it's just a way of expressing yourself that no other form of education can. I don't think you can express yourself with math. There's one answer, you do the problem and you get to the answer. But in art, it's like you use your creativity, your curiosity for nature, for the world, for philosophy, to really realize more about yourself. And in terms of nutrition, I have realized, and I think I owe a lot of this to Kritikaka, that the way you eat really affects the way you perform. And before dancing, I was like, protein powder is bad. It's for like, the buffs that go to pump iron at the gym. That's not me. But she has literally shown me the difference that dancing with, eat 2 dates and a banana before you do your pushpanjali versus eating or having nothing, just having water. There's so much more energy, so much more input. You're tighter. You're able to use your core more. So really, I think the way you eat affects everything.
Today's dancing has moved farther than just your connection with the ultimate God and Bhakti Rasa, and it's moved on to so many different things. I remember watching a small piece by Dr. Padma Subramaniam, and she literally performed a surgery, in the form of Bharatanatyam, and that was something, out of the world, out of the normal. I've never watched something like that. Have you considered choreography? Do you collaborate with other dancers your age? Do you do group performances? Tell me something about that.
Yes, so I'm a part of the Natya Dance Theater Company in Chicago, and Heymanti and Kritikaka are beautiful, incredible choreographers. I mean, if you'd watch their productions, I mean, you leave you leave the performance just feeling something else. It's beyond imagination, really. So I haven't started choreographing myself. I think I still have a long way to learn. I'm still a student, but maybe definitely in the future that could be an option. But in terms of group performances, I perform with Natya Dance Theater. I was Tamil Thai in Tamil Marippu performance in Chicago in July of last year. And then I do collaborate with others. There was a dancer who came from India, Aparna Shankaran, and I had performed with her. I did 2 performances with her in this Northern Virginia area in Espat Temple. And I think beyond that, collaborating is super fun. I hope to definitely continue more of that with Natya Dance Theater, with other schools in the future. But for right now, I'm just attending classes every Sunday, enjoying this time off, kind of. I still have classes through Zoom, but enjoying this time to perfect my own technique, cleaning up some things I've been working on my own. So that's where it is right now.
That's wonderful. And probably you might take up teaching as well at some point, right?
Maybe in the future, in the way in the future, but I think with teaching, you need to do justice to the art. I think if you're teaching such a precious art, you need to be able to be completely dedicated to the students, stay in one place, really grow that um, the parampara that you're instilling in these students. And I think right now I'm really not ready for that kind of commitment. But definitely in the future, I see myself continuing to dance. I think it's a part of me. I don't know a life without dance. So I definitely will continue that. Hopefully I'll be a doctor by then. And maybe teaching, yes, but definitely performing and learning.
You're still young, yeah. That's wonderful. Congratulations. So, yeah, we're all at home. We're all staying safe at home and in these very tough situations. A lot of doctors, everybody are advising us to keep fit, keep us, entertained, do such creative things. Would you like to advise our viewers as well?
Sure, I can give it a try. So I think it's important to stay fit, eat healthy, keep your mind occupied, spend time with family, cook, clean, do some spring cleaning, I guess. I know one of the fun things I've been working on is I've been building my dance Instagram. And so I've started this series called Dancer Diaries, where I'm interviewing dancers from a bunch of different backgrounds, because I think dancers are storytellers, right? When we go to performance, we see a story about Ramayana, or like the love story between Radha and Krishna. So we see all these different stories, but each dancer comes with a story themselves. So I've been interviewing these dancers for the Dancer Diary series, seeing their stories, what brings them to dance, what is their connection to dance, how their guru has influenced them. And I think that's a pretty fun way to stay occupied, by doing just doing things that you love, that you haven't gotten a chance to.
Tell me about it. What better way than to do, to love what you do and do what you love. What is your Instagram handle?
Okay, so it's Iyer YV Dance. Follow me, comment, like, subscribe. But we basically are, I mean, I post things of my own dance practices, don't own dance things. I want to start like a recipe thing too, but maybe that's in the future.
Mhm.
But this Dancer Diaries is the series that I'm currently working on. I've had 3 artists being highlighted so far. In the next 2 or 3 days, the fourth one will be out. So yeah, it's really fun. It's just something I do on the side. It's just fun to talk about dance.
That's just wonderful to know. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yasaswini. Would you like to add any final words? We are looking forward to all your future performances. Good luck to all in all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you again, Pilupu TV, for this wonderful opportunity and this. Um, despite what's happening right now in the world, for being so accommodating and flexible to making this happen. So thank you so much, and hope you all are safe and healthy and doing well.